Shalom to everybody. I want to take a moment to wish everybody a Shabbat Shalom, a fulfilling, uplifting Shabbat, hoping that we all continue to find some balance in our lives, that we cope with the restrictions of social distancing and staying in our homes, continue to remain productive, that we continue to see the value of relationships in our lives and of belonging to community. This may be the silver lining of all that's happening in the past few weeks is having unexpected time with our loved ones, having more time to invest in time with our children, time with our spouses, more time for conversation. Maybe that's the silver lining. So I want to wish everybody a Shabbat Shalom, really a Shabbat of peace and fulfillment. This week we read Torah portions from the book of Leviticus that are classically difficult to interpret. They're called Tazria and Metzora. Actually, this week we read two portions together in order to finish the reading of the Torah by the holiday of Sukkot. We sometimes have to compress the portions into 1 week. And I'll tell you, to read Tazria and Metzora in 1 week is actually good because these portions are classically difficult to interpret and understand. Over the years, they are a challenge for anyone who reads them, scholar or someone who is a casual reader of the Torah. They're about defilement from childbirth as it was seen in the Bible. They're about bodily emissions, about contagious skin diseases and diagnosing them, and it's all seems like a archaic, obsolete world for us. How are we possibly supposed to understand what this means? And in fact, over the years, there have been all kinds of interpretations of these portions that have tried to make sense of them. Some people talk about the compassion of the high priest, how we make sure that even contagious people feel connected. And in that sense, this is kind of, eerily relevant for the times in which we're living. We're living through a pandemic, and we're talking about who needs to be tested, who doesn't, who should stay at home, who shouldn't, who can go out, when can we open up society and restart business, when is it safe for everyone, the ethical balance between life, preserving life, and on the other hand, remaining fiscally solvent. So these Torah portions are eerily relevant in the moment that we're living through, but truthfully, they're hard to understand. So much so that even over the years, some of the commentaries have tried to stretch the meaning of the Torah portions. For example, Mitzorah sounds like the Hebrew word motzi ra, and therefore the Torah portion is about slander, which is what the word motzi ra means. So I've been searching for some new meaning for these two Torah portions in the context in which we're living right now. And I think I found something that I want to share with you now. So there's a verse in Leviticus chapter 13, and it kind of represents what is so awkward and difficult to comprehend about this particular Torah portion. The verse is this: "As for the person with a leprous infection, his clothes shall be rent, his head shall be left bare, he shall cover up his upper lip, and he shall call out, 'Impure, impure.'" So if you think about it, it's a little ceremonial ritual that someone who was infected had to undergo. Listen, if you ask me, there are only so many ways you can slice that pie, meaning, how many ways can you interpret that message? Is there any way to draw out of it that it was a compassionate outreach to the infected? No. Could you understand from it that there's something else at play here, some other deeper meaning to leprosy? I don't think so. And that's exactly what Rabbi Dr. Ismar Shorsh, former chancellor of the Jewish Theological Seminary, has to say about this. Here's what he says: "With its overriding concern for the purity of the tabernacle, Leviticus makes no provision for those thrown into an irredeemable state of impurity. It extended neither sympathy nor support to those most in need of both. Clearly, the public good took precedence over the well-being of the individual. The synagogue was designed to resemble the untidiness of an imperfect world. By choosing to sanctify time rather than space, the synagogue was able to transcend the preoccupation with physical purity and open its doors to those who needed God most of all. I absolutely love that comment by Dr. Schorsch. What he really says candidly is that when you read this portion, don't be deluded into thinking that it's about compassion for the infected or a desire to bring together those who are in need and those who are not. It's not about that. It says the book of Leviticus is about an overriding concern for the purity of space. Who's infected has to be out, and who is not can remain in. And he says it extends neither sympathy nor support to those most in need of both. That's crucial. And I think that's how you have to read these verses. And then he says something really important. After the destruction of the temple and after our people evolved past this whole order of ritual purity and sacrificial order, we developed the synagogue. The synagogue transcended the preoccupation with physical purity, with the purity of space, and instead emphasizes that we open our doors to all those in need, what Schorsch later calls the purity of time or the sanctity of time. That's the priority of the synagogue, to bring together people, no matter who we are, no matter what we need, no matter how diverse our backgrounds and our needs and what we bring to the table, we come together as a community. That is modern Judaism. That is the Judaism that is synagogue-based. And I, for one, and I'm sure you too, am very glad that we have evolved past that more archaic, ritual purity, fixated time of the Bible. I'm glad to live in the era of the synagogue where we care for people. I want to say here that our congregation, Oheb Shalom, is such a place. We reach out to everyone and bring together people. And we reach out to you and want you to be part of our community. So I hope you have a good Shabbat, a fulfilling Shabbat. I hope you'll join us for our services online, our Zoom Minyan services, Friday night at 6, Shabbat morning at 9:45. Shabbat Shalom, and take good care, everybody.